The Pakistan movement, or Tehrik-e-Pakistan, was a political movement in the 1940s that aimed for and succeeded in the creation of Pakistan from the Muslim-majority areas of British India. The movement progressed within India alongside the Indian independence movement, but the Pakistan movement sought to establish a new nation-state that protected the religious identity and political interests of Muslims in South Asia. The first organized political movements were in Aligarh, where another literary movement was led by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan that built the genesis of the Pakistan movement. An educational convention held in 1906 with joint efforts of Syed Ahmad Khan and Vikar-ul-Haq, the Muslim reformist, took the movement to the political stage in the form of establishing the mainstream and then newly formed All India Muslim League, with prominent moderate leaders seeking to protect the basic rights of Muslims in the British Raj. During the initial stages of the movement, it adopted the vision of philosopher Iqbal. After addressing at the convention of the AIML's annual session, Muhammad Ali Jinnah's constitutional struggle further helped gaining public support for the movement in the four provinces. Urdu poets such as Iqbal and Faiz used literature, poetry and speech as a powerful tool for political awareness. Feminists such as Sheila Pant and Fatima Jinnah championed the emancipation of Pakistan's women and the participation in national politics. The Pakistan movement was led by a large and diversified group of people whose struggle ultimately resulted in the British Empire announcing the Indian Independence Act 1947, which created the independent dominions of India and Pakistan. The Pakistan movement was the result of a series of social, political, and intellectual transformations in Pakistani society, government, and ways of thinking. Efforts and struggles of the Founding Fathers resulted in the creation of the democratic and independent government. In the following years, another nationally minded subset went on to establish a strong government, followed by the military intervention in 1958. Grievousness and unbalanced economic distribution caused an upheaval which led East Pakistan to declare independence as the People's Republic of Bangladesh in 1971. After strong concessions and consents reached in 1973, the new constitution established a relatively strong government, institutions, national courts, a legislature that represented both states in the Senate and population in the National Assembly. Pakistan's phase shift to republicanism and the gradually increasing democracy caused an upheaval of traditional social hierarchy and gave birth to the ethic that has formed a core of political values in Pakistan. History of the movement. Background: the East India Company was formed in 1600 and had gained a foothold in India in 1612 after Mughal Emperor Jahangir granted it the rights to establish a factory or trading post in the port of Surat on the western coast. As the Mughal Empire quickly declined from the power, the British Empire expanded quick to gain control of the subcontinent in the 1700s. The economic, social, public, and political influence of East India Company and the strong military projection further limited the rule of the last Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah II. The defeat of Tipu Sultan, the ruler of Mysore, proved to be an event which led to the fall of Mysore Kingdom under the direct or indirect rule of the East India Company. All over the subcontinent, the British government took over the state machinery, bureaucracy, universities, schools, and institutions, as well as establishing its own. During this time, Lord Macaulay's radical and influential educational reforms led to the numerous changes to the introduction and teaching of Western languages, history, and philosophy. Religious studies and the Arabic, Turkish, and Persian languages were completely barred from the state universities. In a short span of time, the English language had become not only the medium of instruction but also the official language in 1835 in place of Persian. disadvantaging those who had built their careers around the latter language. Traditional Hindu and Islamic studies were no longer supported by the British Crown, and nearly all of the madrasas lost their waqf. Discontent by these reforms, Muslim and Hindu rebels initiated the first rebellion in 1857, which was inverted by the British forces, followed by final abdication of last Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah II. Also the same year, noting the sensitivity of this issue, Queen Victoria removed the East India Company and consolidated the power by gaining the control of subcontinent into British Empire. Directives issued by Queen Victoria led to the quick removal of Mughal symbols, which spawned a negative attitude amongst some Muslims towards everything modern and Western, and a disinclination to make use of the opportunities available under the new regime. This tendency, had it continued for long, would have proven disastrous for the Muslim community. In justifying these actions, Macaulay argued that Sanskrit and Arabic were wholly inadequate for students studying history, science, and technology. He stated, "We have to educate people who cannot at present be educated by means of the mother tongue. We must teach them some foreign language." The solution was to teach English. Renaissance vision. Eventually, many Muslims barred their children to be educated at English universities, which had proved to be disastrous for the Muslim communities. Very few Muslim families had the children sent at the English universities. On the other hand, the effects of Bengali Renaissance made the Hindus' population to be more educated and gained lucrative positions at the Indian civil service. Many ascended to the influential posts in the British government. During this time, Muslim reformer and educationist Sir Syed Ahmad Khan began to argue for the importance of the British education. Sir Syed was a jurist and a scholar who was knighted by the British Crown for his services to British Empire. Witnessing this atmosphere of despair and despondency, Sir Syed launched his attempts to revive the spirit of progress within the Muslim community of British India. At notable Muslim gatherings, he argued that the Muslims, in their attempt to regenerate themselves, had failed to realize that mankind had entered a very important phase of its existence, an era of science and learning. Despite harsh criticism from the Islamic orthodoxy, he helped convince many Muslim communities to realize that the very fact was the source of progress and prosperity for the British. Therefore, modern education became the pivot of his movement for regeneration of the Indian Muslims. He tried to transform the Muslim outlook from a medieval one to a modern one. In attendance, Sir Syed advised the Muslim communities to not participate in politics unless and until they got modern education. He was of the view that Muslims could not succeed in the field of Western politics without knowing the system. In the 1900s, Sir Syed was invited to attend the first convention of Indian National Congress, and many persuaded him to join the party, but he reportedly refused to accept the offer. Instead, he urged the Muslims to keep themselves away from the Indian National Congress and predicted that this convention would prove to be a Hindu party in the times to come. In response to this, Sir Syed called in and established the first All-India Muhammadan Educational Conference, where he provided Muslims with a platform on which he could discuss the political problems. He also became an instrument of leading the Aligarh movement to provide Western education to Muslim communities. This led the establishment of the Aligarh Muslim University, which became a pivotal place of providing modern teachings on science and technology, modern politics, law and justice, literature, history, and contemporary arts. Sir Syed's writings and scholarly works played a role in popularizing the ideals for which the Aligarh stood, whilst also helped to create cordial relations between the British Crown and the Indian Muslims. One of his biggest achievements was the removal of misunderstandings about Islam and Christianity. It was from this platform that Syed Ahmad Khan strongly advised the Muslims against joining the Hindu-dominated Congress, and also promoted the idea that Hindus and Muslims are two distinct nations. His writings, arguments, theory, and efforts later conjoined, and his idea was now popular as the two-nation theory. At the time of his death, Sir Syed was known as the father of two-nation theory, and earned the title Prophet of Education. The Aligarh movement and the two-nation theory provided the basis of the Pakistan movement. With the help of Sir Syed and Nawab Vikar-ul-Haq, the All India Muslim League was founded in 1906, followed by the vision of Sir Muhammad Iqbal of a homeland for the Muslims floated in 1930 onto the Pakistan Resolution of 1940, and the League gaining strength to finally attaining a separate homeland for the Muslims of India. Since his death and the establishment of Pakistan, his name continues to be extremely respected in Pakistan. Even as of today, Sir Syed University of Engineering and Technology is named after him. Rise of organized movement and Muslims minority. In 1876, Queen Victoria took the additional title of Empress of India, passed by the Queen. The 1833 Act appointed Lord William Bentinck as Governor-General of British India. The success of All India Movement.An educational conference as a part of the Aligarh movement, the All India Muslim League, was established with the support provided by Syed Ahmad Khan in 1906. It was founded in Dhaka in a response to reintegration of Bengal after a mass Hindu protest took place in the subcontinent. Earlier in 1905, Viceroy Lord Curzon partitioned the Bengal, which was favoured by the Muslims, since it gave them a Muslim majority in the eastern half. In 1909, Lord Minto promulgated the Council Act and met with a Muslim delegation led by Aga Khan III to meet with Viceroy Lord Minto, a deal to which Minto agreed because it appeared to assist the British divide-and-rule strategy. The delegation consisted of 35 members, who each represented the respective region proportionately, mentioned here under. Sir Aga Khan III, Nawab Mohsen-ul-Mulk, Nawab Wakar-ul-Mulk, Maulvi Hafiz Hakim Ajmal Khan, Maulvi Syed Karamat Hussain, Maulvi Sharifuddin, Nawab Syed Sardar Ali Khan, Syed Abdul Rauf, Maulvi Habib Rahman Khan, Sahibzada Aftab Ahmed Khan, Abdul Salam Khan, Rayaz Muhammad Atasham Ali Khan, Bahadur Muhammad Muzammar Khan, Haji Muhammad Ismail Khan, Shahzada Bakhtar Shah, Malik Umar Hayat Khan Tawana, Khan Bahadur Muhammad Shahidin, Khan Bahadur Saeed Nawab Ali Chowdhury, Nawab Bahadur Mirza Shu'a Ali Beg, Nawab Nazir Hussain Khan Bahadur, Khan Bahadur Saeed Amir Hassan Khan, Saeed Muhammad Imam, Nawab Sarfaraz Hussain Khan Bahadur, Maulvi Rafiuddin Ahmed, Khan Bahadur Ahmed Mahaudin, Ibrahim Bhai Adam G. Pir Bhai, Maulvi Abdul Rahim, Syed Aladad Shah, Maulana H. M. Malik, Khan Bahadur Kal, Abdul Majid Khan, Khan Bahadur Kawahar Yusuf Shah, Khan Bahadur Mian Muhammad Shafi, Khan Bahadur Sheikh Ghulam Sadiq, Syed Nabrullah, Khalifa Syed Muhammad Khan Bahadur. The Muslim League's original goal was to define and protect the interests of educated upper and gentry class of the Indian Muslims. Its educational activities were based on AMU's Calcutta University and Punjab University, though its headquarter was in Lucknow. British thinker John Locke's ideas on liberty greatly influenced the political thinking behind the party's movement. It was the dissemination of Western thought by John Locke, Milton and Thomas Paine at the AMU that initiated the emergence of Muslim nationalism. Sir Aga Khan III was appointed its first and founding president. Aligarh wrote party's first constitution. Despite its activism and educated mass, the party remained less influential in various areas as compared to political movements such as Kaghzaz, Khudai-Khidmat, Ara, and Herat until the 1930s. By the 1930s, Muhammad Iqbal had joined the party, whose writings, speeches, philosophical ideas, and his British education training played a crucial role in the expansion of the Muslim League. Furthermore, Muslim League's pro-British stance, Jinnah Ali Khan, and many other leaders' constitutional struggle for Muslim rights made it an extremely popular party in the Muslim-dominated areas of the subcontinent. Furthermore, the success of Muslim League in 1934 elections in the Muslim-dominated areas played a crucial role in the split between the Muslim League and Congress became apparent when Congress refused to join coalition administrations with the Muslim League in areas with mixed religion. The political scene was set that was to lead to post-1945 violence in India. World War II. On the 3rd of September 1939, British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain announced the commencement of war with Germany. The World War II became an integral for Pakistan movement, with the Muslim League playing a decisive role in the World War II in the 1940s and as the driving force behind the division of India along religious lines and the creation of Pakistan as a Muslim state in 1947. In 1939, the Congress leaders resigned from all British India government to which they had elected. The Muslim League celebrated the end of Congress-led British Indian government, with Jinnah famously quoting, "A day of deliverance and thanksgiving." Quote, in a secret memorandum writing to British Prime Minister, the Muslim League obliged to support the United Kingdom's war efforts, provided that the British had recognized it as the only organization that spoke for Indian Muslims. The events leading the World War II. The Congress' effective protest against the United Kingdom unilaterally involving India in the war without consulting with the Congress. The Muslim League went on to support the British war efforts, which was allowed to actively propagandize against the Congress with the cry of "Islam in danger." The Indian Congress and Muslim League responded differently over the World War II issue. The Indian Congress refused to oblige with the Britain unless the whole Indian subcontinent was granted the independence. The Muslim League, on the other hand, supported Britain with the means of political cooperation and human contribution. The Muslim League leaders' British education training and philosophical ideas played a role that brought the British government and the Muslim to be close to each other. Jinnah himself supported the British in World War II when the Congress failed to form any form of collaboration. The British government suddenly made a pledge to the Muslims in 1940 that it would not transfer power to an independent India unless its constitution was first approved by the Indian Muslims, a promise it did not subsequently keep. The end of the war in 1942, Gandhi called for the Quit India movement against the United Kingdom. On the other hand, the Muslim League advised the Prime Minister Winston Churchill that the Great Britain should divide and then quit. Negotiations between Gandhi and Viceroy Wavell failed, as did talks between Jinnah and Gandhi in 1944. When the World War II ended, the Muslim League's push for the Pakistan movement and Gandhi's efforts for Indian independence intensified the pressure on Prime Minister Winston Churchill. Given the rise of American and Russian order in the world politics and the general unrest in India, Wavell called for the general elections to be held in 1945. The elections marked the Muslim League won nearly all the seats in Muslim areas while Congress did the same in predominantly Hindu areas. Polarization was now obvious and violence erupted in whole subcontinent. For Jinnah, Islam laid a cultural base for an ideology of ethnic nationalism whose objective was to gather the Muslim community to defend the Muslim minorities. In the subcontinent, Jinnah's representation of Indian Muslims was quite apparent in 1928 when in the All-Party Muslim Conference, he was ready to swap the advantages of separate electorates for a quota of 33% of seats at the capital. He maintained his views at the Round Table conferences, while the Muslims of Punjab and Bengal were vying for a much more decentralized political setup. Many of the requests were met in the 1935 Government of India Act. Jinnah and the Founding Fathers played a peripheral role at the time and in 1937 could manage to gather only 5% of the Muslim vote. Jinnah refused to back down and went ahead with his plan. He presented the two-nation theory in the now famous Lahore Resolution in March 1940, seeking a separate Muslim nation-state. The idea of a separate state had first been introduced by Sir Iqbal in his speech in December 1930 as the president of the Muslim League. The nation-state that he visualized, within the British Empire, or without the British Empire, included only 4 provinces of northwest India: Punjab, Sindh, Afghania, and Balochistan. 3 years later, the name Pakistan was proposed in a pamphlet published in 1933 by Rahmat Ali, a graduate of the University of Cambridge. Again, Bengal was left out of the proposal. In a book written in 2004, Idea of Pakistan by American historian of Pakistan, Stephen P. Cohen, writes on the influence of South Asian Muslim nationalism on the Pakistan movement. It begins with the glorious pre-colonial empire when the Muslims of South Asia were politically united and culturally, civilizationally, and strategically dominant. In the era, ethno-linguistic differences were subsumed under a common vision of an Islamic-inspired social and political order. However, the divisions among Muslims that did exist were exploited by the British Empire, who practiced divide-and-rule politics, displacing the Mughals and circumscribing other Islamic rulers. Moreover, the Hindus were the allies of the British Empire, who used them to strike a balance with the Muslims. Many Hindus, a fundamentally insecure people, hated Muslims and would have oppressed them in a one-man, one-vote democratic India. The Pakistan movement united these disparate pieces of the national puzzle, and Pakistan was the expression of the national will of India's liberated Muslims.